Welcome to Power Code Music. In this presentation, we're going to talk about my Fender Blues Jr. amplifier, the flaws that were fixed with it, and how I got it back into production in my home studio. This video is a follow-up to my first presentation on the Fender Blues Jr. called Fender Blues Jr. Amplifier, the last tube amp on this channel. In that video, I had decided to sell and not fix my broken Blues Jr. 4. Again, this was due in part to what I was mulling around in my head as the ongoing maintenance costs for that amplifier, and also what I believe to be the inevitable future release of a Blues Jr. solid state counterpart. So check out that video after this one for the full context, again, to see where my head was at that time. Now here is a very important point. Whether we like it or not, we know that tube amp technology is not only obsolete, but expensive. It's also a well-known environmental hazard to produce and dispose of. These are some of the reasons why so many companies are investing heavily in solid-state amplifier technology and advancing its sound. However, the tube amp sound still produces the richest and most beautiful electric guitar tone sounds in the world, in my humble opinion. After sitting broken in my studio and having that fact bother me for a year or so, I finally decided to get my favorite amp fixed. I picked up my Fender Blues Jr. 4 amplifier from the repair shop this last weekend, and it surprised me at how happy I was to get it back. I had taken the amp to Tube Audio in Rancho Cordova, California, which is a suburb of Sacramento, and Tube Audio is an authorized Fender amplifier repair shop. Shane, who is the owner, took great care of both me and my Fender Blues Jr. The Tube Audio deposit was only $80, where other repair shops in the area, the deposit was around $100. Shane said that the $80 deposit was a discount to show the Fender owners just a little extra love, which was very cool. The amp was repaired in less than a week after I dropped it off, and it sounds better than ever. It just blows my mind still how great that amp sounds to me. Now, I highly recommend Tube Audio if you need to get your tube amp repaired in the Sacramento, California regional area. Now let's get down to what the issue was with my Fender Blues Jr. 4 amplifier. The problem with my amp turned out to be a fried resistor, which was originally caused by a bad power tube. Now, if you're not aware, a resistor is a passive electrical component whose primary function is to limit the flow of electrical current. The power tube in a tube amplifier controls the overall output of the amp. With this, it's easy to see how a malfunctioning power tube could fry a resistor. The power and preamp tubes all work together to create the guitar's tone. So, for instance, when I would turn on my amp, the bad power tube caused the fuse to first blow, and I would replace that. So when I then figured out what was going on in that regard, I also replaced all the tubes, which corrected the bad power tube issue. Now, however, what I didn't know was because the resistor had been fried, when I would turn on the amp, this yielded a very loud hum or buzz like 10 to 20 seconds after I would turn it on. So, for instance, this is what the amp sounded like before the repair. And this is what the amp sounded like after the repair. Shane at TubeSonic Audio told me that Fender's implemented architecture regarding the power for the Blues Junior drives the amp very hard. He said that if I use the amp daily or several times a week, that I should replace, that is on a regular basis, that I should replace the tubes at least once a year for good maintenance and to get the best sound results with it. Now, I've known people who've had tube amps who have had them for years and never changed the tubes. But you change the oil in your car on a regular basis in order to get the best performance out of it. So that sounds like really good advice, and I'm definitely going to take it. Now, when I got out of the Navy, I spent a year in vocational school studying electronic music technology. It was a great course because it allowed me to learn and save thousands of dollars over the decades repairing and upgrading the electronic instruments and other devices in my home studio. However, I do not feel comfortable working on tube amps. They pose a serious danger of potential electrocution even after the amp has been unplugged for a number of days. This is because they can hold a deadly charge even unplugged. I don't have the proper or required training to work on high voltage electronics, so changing the tubes is as far as I'm willing to go in this area. With this, if you are not a professional working on this type of equipment, I strongly recommend that you take your tube amp to an authorized dealer for service when and if needed. The bottom line here is that the Fender Blues Junior 4 is my favorite guitar amplifier, hands down. This is because for me it produces rich and full guitar tone that I love and need for the music that I record. It's compact, powerful, and easy to use. The Blues Junior is a 15-watt amp that includes a spring reverb. People that know this amp will tell you not to let the 15-watt specification deter you. This is because low wattage tube amps of 10 to 15 watts will actually sound as loud or louder than a solid state amp of 50 watts or more. With this, the Blues Junior is loud and powerful enough to do like small to medium sized gigs in many cases. It also comes stock with a Celestion 12-inch A-type speaker. Let's move on to the Fender Blues Junior 4 control panel to see how simple and straightforward it is to use. The first component is the input, and of course this is your guitar's plug-in. The second component is the volume knob. This is the gain for the preamp. Now, lower volumes yield cleaner tones, while higher volumes produce more distortion and sustain. The next is the fat button. This boosts the gain for the preamp. It increases the sustain and distortion. The next three knobs are your treble, bass, and middle knobs. Use these knobs to adjust the tone to your taste by managing the highs, lows, and the presence in the middle. The next knob is the master knob. Now this is the primary control responsible for overall output of the amp. It's recommended that you set the control after adjusting the volume knob first. The next is your reverb knob. This control adjusts the level of the spring reverb effect. The next component is the power indicator. This lights up when the power is on. And finally you have the power switch, which turns the amp on and off. In summary, moving forward, I'm not going to buy any more tube amplifiers for my home studio. I currently own two, which of course one is the Fender Blues Junior 4 and the other is the Marshall DSL-20 CR combo amplifier. From a recording standpoint, I believe I'm good to go. The plan in my studio is to continue to record with and maintenance these amps as needed until they break and I can no longer acquire and or afford the necessary parts to fix them. And that will be a sad day indeed. Well, that is a wrap. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up and click the subscribe button on your screen now to join our group. We have new videos coming out every 7 to 10 days, and we would love to have you be a part of our team. Also, leave a comment in the comment section below and let us know what you think about this video. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. While you're here, listen to some of the other music and watch some of the other videos. Let us know what you think about those too. And thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you soon.